You know how timing is everything? Well, I'm not kidding here. Just as I was preparing to watch this movie for this review, one of my rowdy friends on Facebook posted their own brief, scathing review of the movie, calling it out for some of my oh-so-most favorite things, like poor production quality and annoying characters. Oh goody. So yeah, now I'm already starting this thing with more than a little trepidation. Especially since this was the movie that made me nope out on the idea of reviewing multiple movies in one video for at least this month. Since this movie, I found out, ended up spawning no less than 3 full-length sequels. A 5th movie was hinted at as recently as 2017, but never materialized. But there did end up being made 3 short films back in 2020. Let's just get to the one that started it all back in 1998 and see where the future lies from that. For now, this is Halloween, this is Halloween, this is Halloweentown! I promise I will never do that again. We open on Halloween night, and you know this movie was made in the 20th century because the streets are actually full of kids out trick-or-treating! Well, except for this girl, as her house must be in some kind of black hole where no one even knocks on their door, and their mom won't even let them go out with all of the ghosts and goblins, and wait a minute, is that Judith Hoag? As in the April O'Neil from the first Ninja Turtles movie? On one hand, I'm glad to see she didn't completely drop off the face of the earth. On the other, well, we'll get there. And by we'll get there, I mean you're gonna see it automatically.
I'm 13, okay? I'm practically a grown-up. I'm certainly old enough to make my own choices. Right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Is there an age for that? Look, Marnie, I am sorry, but you are not going out on Halloween.
Why?
I have my reasons, and I will explain them to you when you're taller.
Yeah, so the one thing this friend of mine said annoyed them the most about this movie was Marnie here, calling her a whiny brat who does nothing but complain. But right off the bat, I have to say, I'm agreeing with her here. Look, there clearly is some huge secret that the mom is hiding from her kids, and yes, we're going to find that out sooner rather than later, but this is the #1 issue I have with parents on television or otherwise. One of the worst mistakes you can make with your kids? Keep secrets from them!
My poor little sister should be out trick-or-treating. But look at her. You've kept her from a normal childhood, and it's turned her into a wall ornament.
Marnie, I'm sorry. I know that you want to go out with your friends, but there are just some things about Halloween that you don't understand.
What? This kind of bullcrap says you think your kids can't handle reality, which is about the biggest insult you can give them. You want your kids to not talk back and mouth off like this? Be honest with them and tell them things. And then the magic school bus just pops in! From the future, from the looks of how Mrs. Frizzle has aged here. And as she just descends from her floating bus and struts through town with Mary Poppins' handbag in tow, this starts happening as well!
Are you eating a cookie?
So yeah, the old woman is the kid's grandmother, played by the legend Debbie Reynolds. And she has just never before told them that she's a witch. And part of me is sad that the grandma is named Aggie and not Tabitha. But I would also be upset if the daughter of Samantha ended up having a kid who became a bitch like this. I'm actually surprised she even allowed the kids to ever meet their grandma with her little secret, let alone allow her to show up on Halloween of all times. And this is a big one because it's Marnie's 13th Halloween. Hence why Aggie is all excited and Mommy is even more on edge.
I have deja vu a lot. I mean, like all the time.
Really? Well, you know, if you could practice.
Mother, could I talk to you in the kitchen for just 1 minute?
I'll give this movie the benefit of the doubt in that the dragging phase, while early on and thus making it difficult to get the attention going quickly, does serve a purpose in teasing the world we know we should get eventually. But it still takes a good 18 minutes or so before we start getting into the good stuff. Sure enough, Marnie is herself a witch and in danger of losing her abilities because her mother hasn't been letting her develop them, and this is the point where her training is supposed to be completed, and I'm going to try and keep the Wizards of Waverly Place jokes at bay, but I make no promises. Once Marnie overhears this, she and her brother, who's basically every nerd son you've seen since Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, sneak out of the house and find Aggie at her bus stop, and of course sneak on the bus, which is thankfully now on the road after midnight, when it was flying hours earlier when all the kids were on the streets. What kind of brains does this driver have? So the bus lands at the eponymous Halloweentown, and do I get credit for using eponymous correctly here? Sorry, I've been rewatching Spoonie's old videos recently. Meanwhile, guess what? Little sister Sophie snuck on board with them! I love how Marnie can't even get angry because she did the same thing they did. They meet the mayor, and he summons a cab for them that's of course driven by a skeleton. And all I can think about is the movie making a Roger Rabbit reference by naming either the cab or the driver Benny. The grandma's place has a locked gate, and Marnie can't magically unlock it, but Sophie can!
Sophie, how did you do that?
Yeah, I'll get more into that later. Aggie takes her grandkids sneaking away from home pretty well, especially with Marnie wanting to start her whole training and saying she could be the other family member that can fight back against the bad thing or whatever. And I do chuckle at how they can't call the mom because Halloweentown doesn't have long-distance phone service, but they do have microwavable witch's brew. So yeah, Halloweentown is where all the monsters live, and I'll leave it to you all to make all the Spirit Halloween jokes about the state of the costumes worn in this movie. But Aggie has long been suspecting something evil is going on in town, and while the mayor begins to believe her, he still wants her to leave it alone out of the safety for the kids, and yep, I'm getting the villain vibes again. Hey, after you saw Hans in Frozen, you no longer trust anyone trying to be this charming. And then this prick shows up. His name is Luke, and he's played by Philip Van Dyke. I'm assuming he's not related to Dick, because it isn't plastered all over the web, thus denying me all the jokes about being a precursor to Emma Roberts, and desperately wanting to not be as beloved as his blood predecessor. For now, I'm guessing he's not the villain because he's so much of a jerk that it would be too easy. It's around the halfway point where the kids finally get to do witches stuff like ride a broomstick. But of course, guess who shows up now to ruin everything? Yeah, I had to remind myself that she's originally from Halloweentown. She just developed a Darren Stevens anti-magic attitude.
You are not a witch.
Oh, yes, I am, no thanks to you. You're gonna let my powers go away forever.
Marnie, there is so much more involved in this than you understand.
Seriously, I hate this woman. She may very well be the worst mother character I've seen, and no, I'm not counting Gothel or the Wicked Queen because they weren't actual mothers. It's the fact that she is just so damn pompous and refuses to just tell her own kids why she's so damn scared of her past. And she doesn't get that keeping these secrets is only going to make Marnie rebel even harder. She pretty much claims she wants what's best for her kids, but she doesn't. She wants what's best for herself. I so wanted to hear Marnie just shout, "I hate you," right into her mother's face and make her have to endure looking into her own child's eyes and realize she meant it. So when the magic bus isn't available, they go to the mayor, and it turns out the mom actually knows him from way back when. Seems he's always had this major crush on her, and he also has resurrection powers, at least on plants. Why do I have a very bad feeling about how this is going to end up? The brat kid Luke hints to Aggie that he knows who this mysterious bad thing is. And when Marnie sees the two walking off together, of course she finally has enough and just runs off to follow them. Good for her! They go to a closed down theater that Luke just happens to have the key to, and man, it's like they all went to see Dragon Ball Evolution and were too scared to leave the place in shame. And then Palpatine's dumber cousin pops out of a moon gate. Okay.
You think your magic is more powerful than mine?
Yeah, as if that could happen.
Yeah, so it turns out Luke was in league with the evil one. So I was kind of wrong in denying he was the bad guy, but at the same time, you'll see. Especially since he does reveal to have a conscience when Ghostface Jr. here tries to kill Aggie and the younger Cromwells once they arrive. See, all this just makes me say the mother brought this on herself. And here's one area where the movie really screwed up. Oh, it wouldn't have made me sympathize with the mother still, but it's never revealed at any part of this movie that the Grim Reaper wannabe is the reason she wanted to leave Halloweentown and live in the mortal world. The only real reason that's ever hinted to us at any point is just that she got the hots for a mortal guy, which just suggests all she did was leave to rebel against her parents, which is, oh, exactly what Marnie has been doing! Sorry, I'm still siding with Marnie here! Especially when the first thing she does after they escape the theater is take charge and say they have to complete Aggie's brew in order to activate her talisman and thus save the mother, Aggie, and everyone else that the bad thing has captured and enslaved. We get some questing scenes as they have to get the remaining ingredients, mostly to show off characters that no one will remember, while also revealing that the bonehead cabbie is also possessed. And they mix the potion, but Marnie can't remember the incantation. But guess who does?
What is it, Soph?
That brings up the other subject of debate with the movie. One of my friend's other criticisms is how could Marnie be the main character when she is not only a whiny brat, but also far less skilled as a witch than Sophie. But honestly, this still makes sense. Marnie's powers have been dwindling as a result of not being developed for years, so of course she's not going to be able to use them effectively, and this could also explain why she has such a bad attitude from not being allowed to freely use her natural abilities. Think of Dash in The Incredibles as a comparison. By contrast, Sophie is at the correct age to start training and developing, so of course everything will come more natural to her. And Marnie never comes off as jealous of Sophie. If anything, she's really impressed at how her little sister picks up magic so easily and even asks for her help. This movie is actually a really good case study on why you should encourage your kids to pursue what they find they are good at, and that squelching their creativity never works out in the end. So yeah, once again, the real jerk-ass character who is responsible for everything going wrong as it is the mom! They return to the theater, and you know what really freaks me out? Is years ago, I had this dream about running into this creepy old theater where inside the screen was a demon who was about to bring about the end of the world, and I absolutely swear I never watched this movie before doing so for this review! They realize they have to mount the talisman somewhere. But Luke warns Marnie that the bad thing is waiting for her, and sure enough, we find out the bad thing is actually the mayor! Okay, see, I knew I was right about that one! And again, if you're thinking that the mom knew from the beginning that this guy was bad news, and that's why she ran away from Halloweentown, oh, she didn't. It's much worse. Wrapping this thing up, Marnie gets an assist from Luke so she can mount the talisman inside the giant pumpkin in the middle of town. Wait, wasn't that thing on fire a few minutes ago? And this shines the light of goodness or whatever on the whole town and revives the mayor's victims. And here's where we find out why he did it.
You could have had me, the most powerful warlock of all. You could have ruled with me as my queen.
Yes, people. This guy turned to the dark arts because the woman he's always simped for rejected him. Are we sure this movie came out in 1998 and not 2018? But at least here the mom finally grabs a spine as she joins with Aggie to help all 5 of the Cromwells banish the mayor. Yes, I said 5 because it turns out the boy has powers too. Wow, this movie actually comes off as less anti-man than Charmed was. The evil is defeated. We get this whole bit where Marnie and Mom make up, though I still say this apology Marnie gives is bullcrap because the reason she didn't understand everything about Halloweentown is because her mother wouldn't tell her! Turns out Luke is actually a goblin or something who made the deal with the mayor to become handsome. Yeah, this movie actually did Shrek 3 years before Shrek. And the movie ends with them convincing Aggie to move in with everyone else on Earth, because again, we're supposed to believe living in the world without magic is the better choice. What the frack ever. This one wasn't as bad as Twitch's, but it's still a disappointment. It has its good parts, mainly showing how the kids are the heroes, and the adults who don't trust them get their comeuppance in the end. But it just gets hurt by not enough explanation as to why the antagonist does what she does. And yes, I'm calling the mother an antagonist in this thing. Maybe more will be explained in the sequels, if I ever do get around to them. But for now, I just think I've got to find something that will not irk me like this so much. Maybe I'll need to look up in the sky for something like that.